real quick, if you had to drop one stat of your in real life stats to pump something else up, what would you drop and what would you lift? 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, I would absolutely drop my strength. I don't use it for anything. I step up off of the couch. I climb stairs very occasionally. That's what elevators are for. I do not need strength, but man, could I be just a little bit more charismatic. I just want more people to do shit for me, because then I don't need strength even more.
Out of fear or persuasion, or however it comes.
I don't care.
Just do what I need you to do.
I just wish I could manipulate people better.
Yeah. Don't you accurately quote me?
Kyle, what would you do?
You know what? Honestly, I think I would drop my intelligence, because dumb people seem to have a better time in life.
Ignorance is bliss, I suppose.
Yeah, but what would you boost?
What do I boost? Oh, dexterity, maybe? Yeah. No, charisma, probably.
Charisma's the one to boost, right? Yeah. I mean, some of us need to boost wisdom.
Yeah, if you're going to be dumb, you might as well be charming.
I think I would drop my charisma slightly to boost my... I am quite intelligent, the internet laughs. But I mean, I'm intelligent enough that I get through life and I tend to excel at what I do. Like,
you are not a dummy.
I'm not a dummy. Yeah. But I would boost my wisdom. I want more understand. I'm not very perceptive to what's going on around me. Like, fucking rob me blind. I'm not going to know for 3 days. Like, so
Noted.
I'd probably drop my charisma. I think the world would welcome a less mouthy Terry in exchange for a more aware Terry.
If Terry's more aware, I don't need to control people, because it's just counterproductive for me. I changed my answer.
It's a Mimic, the round table Dungeons and Dragons discussion, where you never know what you're going to get.
Hello and welcome to another episode in our conversation on the big bad evil guys of Dungeons and Dragons that we like to call portfolios. I'm your DM for the day, Kyle, and with me today are Aqua Velva Adam and Tasty Terry.
Oh, please don't. Wow.
It has been a while since we've done nicknames.
Oh, better nicknames.
Oh, no, it's fantastic. These are like middle school nicknames.
Yeah, come on, you're such a snack, Terry.
You know, a couple of people at my work started to refer to me as the sheriff, and I quite enjoyed it. It's because I basically forced them to. Because I kept referring to myself as the sheriff.
I thought it was because of your obvious badge that you have.
So you're the narc at work, is what you're saying.
What are you referring to? I can't go home not knowing what you're referring to.
I like that you checked your shirt. Oh my God, is my perception that low? Am I wearing a badge?
That's exactly it. Because I may well have been.
We're never going to get through this intro.
No.
And this episode is called Troll Patrol 2, Troll-tal Recall.
That was better than my original.
Yeah. Honestly, I was thinking about dire consequences as well, but this one just seemed more fun.
Yeah.
So, last time we talked about trolls, we covered the basic troll, the venom troll, and the rot troll, and some multi-armed variants from a couple of the books. But we've also covered other kinds of monsters in the past: beholders, illithids, and the other elder elementals, and high-powered constructs, celestials, fiends, and hags. And some of the biggest, nastiest monstrosities from both the Forgotten Realms and the Magic the Gathering campaign setting. For all of these and more, including a buttload of humanoid mob monsters, you can jump over to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and dozens of other podcast apps. Or you can check out the YouTube page and the playlist on monsters that we've built there. In this episode of the It's a Mimic podcast, we are going to return to the ugly and disgusting off-brand giants with 4 more kinds of trolls. Hang on to your britches, because things are about to get a little dire while we drop some ice-cold knowledge to get your spirits moving. And I hope you brought a towel, because it's about to get wet. As we explore the dire troll...
Can't do it.
The spirit troll, the ice troll, and the aquatic troll from Rise of Tiamat. But before we get started, Adam, Terry, how are you guys?
What the fuck? That was the question? Yeah, I'm great.
No, there's another question after that. I'm just asking you how you're doing, because I'm trying to be polite.
I'm good, man. But we've been here for 20 minutes. So you already know that.
We know how we are. I need to manipulate people, and Terry's not very observant.
Yeah. I'm not very observant. I have no idea what's going on. I don't know how long we've been here.
I figured you were trying to build some rapport with the listeners, but no. Okay.
He still thinks you're James.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I can't tell the difference between you and James.
You guys look identical.
So the actual question, if you're curious, Terry, is if you could invent a new kind of troll to torment your D&D characters with,
right,
what theme would you go with?
Oh, let's roll initiative. I like rolling initiative.
Yeah. Can we change the dice in here?
It's always red, white, and black because of the mailbag episode.
Well, we should change it. I got 11.
I got a 4.
10.
Oh, probably like I don't know what kind of troll. Like a friendly troll, actually. A friendly troll, because that would be infuriating for players because you don't want it to be nice. Like, you don't want it to be around you all the time. Maybe that's just me. But when things are nice, it's difficult to dispose of them. That sounded very, you know what I'm saying?
So it's harder for you to murder
Nice
wantonly.
things. Nice people.
It's harder, but not impossible. I have DM'd Terry.
Yeah.
Right.
You will find a way.
Yeah, and my favorite type of murder tends to be up close and personal, like a choking or something.
Yeah.
And that's difficult to do if they're not good. Adam.
Oh, no, I went last. Kyle,
Oh,
you're
sorry.
next.
So I've always been a big fan of the bridge trolls, you know, from fairy tales where they hide underneath and then unsuspecting travelers come along and then they jump out
And eat your goats and shit.
Yeah, or they ask you riddles, and if you can't answer them, they'll eat you.
Yeah.
So I really like the idea of having one of these in the Feywild, like you're walking through the forest and then you come across a bridge. That
Why hasn't it been
spans-
done? You know?
Well, now it has. So
You should make it
trademark
your
Kyle.
mission to put a troll at every bridge, even if it's a massive, like the Golden Gate Bridge still needs a troll.
Yeah.
Like, just trolls on every bridge. Like, they're like hermit crabs. If there's no troll at this bridge, they're going to take it.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, God, I hate the new bridge. You hear it's a troll bridge?
Time to pay the troll. They'll love it.
Oh, no, for me, you want to know? I'm all about the plant-based troll. I'm thinking about, they're all kind of inspired, all the variants that we get are inspired kind of by other kinds of creatures or damage types or something. I want a plant-based troll, something that is halfway between a shambling mound and a troll.
I thought you meant like a vegan troll.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Oh,
When you said
No.
plant-based troll, I was thinking, I don't like this direction, but I'll play it up for the podcast. I was tuning out.
is that what that look is that you get about 50% of the time?
Yeah, that's the look. So, yeah. This sounds plant-based to me. I'm switching off.
No, Beyond Troll is what it's called.
Right.
No, it's going to be like plant-based as far as the flavor of it goes. I was thinking originally I wanted it to be ooze-based.
Well, I mean, if it's vegetarian, it'll probably taste like plants.
Well, I don't think it is vegetarian. I think that it is super gross and creepy and fungal. It's not so much vegetation plant. It's fungal. It's rot. It's spores. Kind of like the rot troll is already, but more squishy.
Right.
Okay, so
Okay.
swamp thing?
Yeah, that's kind of the area that I'm leaning. Trolls feel like they should be wet, and there's nothing in the lore about it. I mean, except for the A-Qu-Atic Troll. But like I'm gonna fuck you up at the end of the
Hate
episode.
it so much.
Yeah, but I really do feel like they should be just dripping slime all of the time.
Right.
And an ooze was a little too on the nose for it. So I want a mushroom troll.
All right.
Sure.
Yeah, or a moss, like a lichen troll, an algae troll.
A lichen troll? You mean something like it bites you and then you're a troll?
No. Lichen, like lichen.
Oh,
that's on.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, not lycanthrope.
Yeah, all right.
Right.
Okay,
Do you
interesting.
think do you think vegetarians taste better than meat eater people? This is not related to what you. This is what I was thinking about.
This is going to be important to trolls, right?
Yeah. Well, they'll know. So.
I mean, grass-fed beef is such a big thing, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it depends how you're preparing your meat, right? Like if it's all just Big Macs, then you probably don't taste good. You certainly don't smell good.
Anyway.
Oh,
Got
only
it.
one way to find out.
Only exactly that.
So I feel like most people are pretty familiar with trolls, the hulking, filthy monsters with long arms that end in razor-tipped talons, festooned in boils, their patchy hair hanging in greasy lengths that shadow their small, beady eyes and gnashing, drooling fangs. Creatures whose only concern is their next meal of dripping, fresh flesh, and the terrifying glee they find in the feel of still warm bones crunching beneath their teeth so they can suck out the sweet, juicy marrow hiding in its center.
Every word just described Dave more and more. As we went along.
Also, this is it's too good. Like, don't do it that well because then the rest of us have to go up to that standard.
Okay, well,
So
I mean,
dial it
I'm
back a
just
bit.
explaining what trolls are.
But do it more shit.
Yeah, okay.
Stop using festoons.
Don't say Don't say that.
How dare you have a vocabulary? vocabulary.
These horrid creatures with their
There we
keen
go.
sense of smell they can pierce even their own putrid flesh to find and devour those unlucky enough to come across them. Trolls are not complicated creatures and have almost no society, allying themselves with just about any evil creature or probably any creature that will reward them with food and treasure in return for their services. But at heart, they are selfish and flighty creatures, doing as they wish more often than not. And while not religious, trolls don't exactly have the mental fortitude to ponder the deeper questions that life has to offer. I was going to use esoteric, but I mean, you don't want me using nice words, so...
Please sentence more badly.
Yeah. Some have been known to worship a being called Vaprak the Destroyer, a lesser deity of whom not much is known, other than it is said to resemble a troll with gnarled and hideous features and green skin. Vaprak is said to have a fearsome temper, descending into furious bouts of rampant destruction, and greatly fears the plots of other deities. Honestly, it sounds suspiciously like a hag.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, trolls and hags, they tend to go hand in hand, right?
It is said that Vaprak eats the souls of trolls near death, spitting out those not cooked by fire or acid to regenerate somewhere else on the plane and live again, but consume those who have died by it. If that were not enough to frighten, they also come with the ability to regenerate. At the start of each of their turns, they regain 10 HP unless they take fire or acid damage in the round before it. Occasionally, these monsters will also undergo bizarre transformations, becoming troll freaks, which is probably not something you should Google. I don't know what'll come up, but
I'm gonna find out.
like to
If you
keep
said
it that
troll freaks,
way.
I'm gonna
troll
find out.
freaks, right? Like there's got to be some Rule 34 thing going on there that I don't want to know. So these are random mutations that can sometimes happen when the troll regenerates and it gains an extra appendage or two, or when it eats something with a magical essence and gains a trait from the poor creature. Though they can survive near obliteration, some trolls can even manifest some of what attempted to destroy them, taking on that power for its own. What details would you add to a layer for your average troll?
Well, I'm re-rolling now. 17.
Oh, nat 20.
Motherfucker. Answer your own question, Kyle. The fans love that.
I will. Bones. Man, so many bones.
I thought you were calling me Bones. I was going to say, no, that'll work. That's
yeah,
a good
that'll
nickname.
work? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's... anyways, I would add bones. I mean, like, I would go into a huge description of, like, you're walking through and you are kicking bones out of the way. And I imagine trolls as full of hunger all the time, and that's their only real motivation is to eat. And so they keep it all close to them. And I would also probably describe a very pungent smell. You said that you imagine them being wet all the time.
Yeah.
I imagine like you can smell them way before you can see them.
Right. Yeah, for me, there's two things that I would add, actually. The first is, we know that they're kind of loosely religious. There is sort of a god that they have a loose understanding of. And so I would have that as cave markings, and however they can express that through the blood of creatures that they've killed or something, but some sort of like cave markings on the walls. I think there also needs to be some kind of nesting area as well. I think they would still be protective over their young. And these types of creatures, typically that's overlooked. You think of it for like dragons, right? There's always like the wormlings or the eggs or something. But it's often overlooked for the other creatures. And so, yeah, a nesting area and religious markings.
Okay, interesting. What do you think a troll nest would look like?
I don't. Maybe it would just be in amongst a bunch of bones, or at least not necessarily bones, but perhaps like certainly dead creatures, like dead furry animals.
Yeah.
Which would keep the trolls warm.
Okay. Adam?
I picture like a 4-poster bed. Right? No. Honestly, trolls, they have dark vision, which means they're going to want it to be dark. Right? So we're talking probably cave.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't picture them just making a forest nest in the middle of like a deadfall or something. It's probably cave or swamp, right? Like a burrow that in the muck or something like that. I have geckos. I love my geckos, and geckos and lizards are a lot cleaner than a lot of mammals because they have a dedicated corner they poop in.
Really?
Yeah. And if I clean out the tank and move all the stuff around, they will pick a different corner. They've got, I cannot figure out the pattern. but they very much have their designated poop spot. I assume trolls do not. I assume trolls shit like birds or rats. It's just, well, there it is. There it goes.
And it never gets cleaned out.
No, and it never gets clean. And it probably gets hard, like guano style. Like,
Do you think it turns white like dog shit?
Okay.
you know what? Maybe, but I just picture like you're walking through a cave and the ground just starts to get like really difficult terrain because there's all these lumps that you're walking on. But it's hard.
Please
right?
let the human ranger who can't see do that, like the Aragon, like touches the ground and like sniffs it and like licks it or something.
This is troll guano, right? So like, I really do picture that like piles of scat just everywhere.
Scat.
Right? Like it's gotta be nasty and gnarly and gross.
Yeah.
Right? There's a reason these guys are covered in warts and boils and pustules and all this other shit, right? So, and it's a hygiene thing. They don't care.
Yeah.
And we get that with their long creepy fingernails and their warts and their big yellow fucking teeth. These guys don't floss. Right? However, I think it's worth, they don't wipe either. Let's be honest.
Oh, I know.
They, if anything, they just find a tree and just, kind of rub
And
against
that's like
it.
only if it itches.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh, right. When you're halfway through a work day and you get a butt tickle. Kyle?
Now when you were talking about maybe it like poops like birds, I'm thinking of like owl feces where there's still like bits
I
of
often
hair
think
and
of owls.
bone,
Oh, yeah.
like still in it.
Yeah, like little goblin skulls
Yeah.
in and among
Yeah.
the feces.
Yeah, like that. That's what owl shit looks like.
You showed me a picture of owl shit right
Yeah.
now? Is that really what it looks
Yeah,
like?
apparently, yeah.
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 It's weird that I know what owl shit looks
Yeah,
like
it's-
already.
Adam's like, I know.
Yeah, well, yes, I've been around barns.
Owls are one of my favorite birds.
They are really cool.
It's not important, but...
Yeah. Okay, so how would you, as a dungeon master, communicate to your players that a troll is particularly religious when it comes to Vaprak the Destroyer? So you've already answered yours.
With your cave drawings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think... Well, you're first. You want to go first? And
Yeah,
I'll
okay.
add on to my answer.
So I can't really imagine them wearing any sort of religious iconography. So probably through dialogue a lot of the time, like talking about how they don't fear death, for Vaprak will see them reborn.
For Vaprak! And then into battle.
Or like
right?
Stephen of Braveheart.
No,
yes,
more like-
Vaprak. I'll ask him.
No, more like...
Says her fucked.
like, I do not fear you, Vaprak protects me. And
Yeah.
then, like, right? Like I live through death or something like that. Or, if we're talking in a layer sense, like the surrounding trees will sport some sort of like twig people, like, from the Blair Witch Project.
Oh, yeah.
Where they just had like creepy little things hidden.
Fun fucking sidebar. Those woods that they filmed the Blair Witch Project in are right by like Mieka's house. Oh yeah, so I went there and I went through the woods and there's legitimately like weird dilapidated shacks all over the place. However, it's right next to a highway. So it's that would be really creepy if there weren't 400 people to my left.
Yeah.
However, I went and I grabbed a whole bunch of the sticks, came home and made those creatures, those little stick figures, and I gave them to Justin, and Caitlin got one and Charlie got one. Like I handed them out as freaking Christmas
from those
presents.
woods.
Yeah.
All
so
right, that's
okay.
fun,
Okay.
creepy.
And I
but
hate
fun.
to spoil the fun, but bringing plant life back into Canada is illegal. So we're going to have to round those up.
well, it's not plant life anymore.
That's a good point.
It's plant death.
Jerry?
Yeah, let me build onto my cave drawings, but perhaps like body art of some kind. Now it's going to be crude. It's not going to be like it's not going to be particularly well done, but it's perhaps hand things and whatever on their arms and stuff. Maybe even I don't think anything as intricate as like the stick figures, but perhaps certainly sacrifices being known on poles or whatever outside of the cave. But sort of crude visual bloody things.
All right.
Well, just to counteract that, I'm going to play devil's advocate for just a moment here. Their intelligence is 7, the average troll.
Right.
Which is a -2, but that is still sentient. That's still significantly smarter than a hill troll or a hill giant, right? So these guys are about as smart as a dumb 8th grader.
Okay, yeah, so I guess they understand finger paintings. And
Yeah, like, but they're gross. They don't give a shit. They're chaotic as all hell. They're evil. They're anarchists. Typically chaotic evil, but they're not well learned. They
Right.
have not gone to school, So I think that they probably would stack rocks to be totems. They would, that war paint that you're talking about wouldn't necessarily just be the orc handprint from Lord of the Rings, right? It could be legitimate war paint. And they've got 3 or 4 different colors that they would put on
They
themselves.
can still recognize patterns and stuff, right? So,
yeah, they can engage in conversation, assuming you speak giant. You'll probably be able to fool them, and they're probably smart enough to know that they're fooled and be mad about it.
Right.
So, like a pissed off, stupid 8th grader, right? That's kind of like the dumbest 8th grader, but that's kind of where I'm coming from on the bully.
Yeah.
When you were like,
I'll trade you these 2 10s for a 5.
yeah, exactly, right? Like, oh, okay, what? Wait, what? Come here, right? Like, and it's that kind of stupidity. They're going to understand that cooked meat tastes better, but fire is bad, so eat raw meat.
Right.
But it doesn't taste good. My tummy hurts. I'm shitting all of the time and everywhere. But there's no answer. There's just no answer. I can't figure it out, so there is no answer.
Yeah, right.
Right. So
Fair one. Okay.
All right, last question. What does the giant language sound like?
Kyle, what does it sound like?
I imagine it to be deep and slow.
Well, there we go. An insightful answer from the It's a Mimic podcast.
Yeah.
About the... No, I agree with you. But my reasoning is because typically trolls are like smaller giant kin, but giants are typically larger, right? And so when it's coming out of larger lungs and a larger body, it's not going to be at the same pace as like a humanoid. You know, it is going to come out longer and slower, and so I think the language will naturally reflect that, which would be hilarious for people of our size trying to imitate that, and we would have to put on like a baritone voice and stuff to do it, but it would just be so fucking funny to listen to the wizard that knows 8 languages and one of them is giant to just be
and it's a kobold. It is a kobold doing it.
and it's going to be like Dory, right? I'll find
Okay, so I assume that it doesn't say it anywhere, but I assume there's different dialects to giant.
Brilliant.
Because there are so many different kinds of giants. I can't imagine. Okay, you're right. What you said, though, in my head is absolutely what a hill giant sounds like. But I think that stone giants probably have more gravelly voices, pardon the pun.
Mm-hmm.
But I bet it is just a little bit rougher. I think that
And they draw
Fire-
out their S sounds.
yeah, fire giants would have deeper would have deep voices, but it would be a little bit more rapid, almost like the flickering of flames, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And you could cloud giants would roll like Treebeard because of thunder, right? Or maybe storm giants are like that, but they would all be slightly different. I don't think that Ettins, ogres, and trolls all sound the same, although they probably speak. You know that there's been in languages throughout history, there's been like the proper official version of a language and then like the common or peasant version.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like these giant kin, ogres, Ettins, and trolls, they speak the low class
Right.
giant, right?
Okay.
So it's a little bit more, oh, wake me up, right? Like it's that kind of,
Lazy.
yeah, right.
Lazy, right? Yeah.
But also trolls have long noses too. In my head, they've always got a long nose. They're a little bit more nasally. Not always,
Sure.
but like compared to an ogre or an Ettin.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
So
No,
that's
that is a
It does-
really
it does
well
make
thought out
sense.
answer.
It does make sense.
I think about language all of the time.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into some trolls here, you guys. Should we roll initiative?
Yeah.
I didn't find anything really fun. It's troll freak. I'm a little disappointed.
10.
No.
I got a 15.
Oh, 6.
Alrighty, so I'm gonna go first. Last episode that we covered trolls, we covered venom, which was all about poisonous stuff, and rot, which is all about necrotic, and now I have the spirit troll, which is all about psychic, really. So, if blasted with psychic energy, a troll can regenerate and become a spirit troll. Now, it does not say when you get down to 0 hit points. It says if you took psychic energy and then regenerate, you could become a spirit troll, which means this could happen in the middle of combat.
Oh.
That's really scary because the regular troll is a CR 5 and a spirit troll is a CR fucking 11. So this is amazingly powerful. And it's really shitty, especially for barbarians. You're going to find out why in a sec. First of all, it becomes insubstantial. That's the word they use in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. The insubstantial as a shadow, which just means it's incorporeal and it moves kind of like a specter or a ghost does. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the troll isn't aware of the fact that it is transformed, and it will just continue to use bite and claw attacks as normal. But then it doesn't say what happens the rest of the time when it is aware of it, because it only ever gets bite and claw attacks.
Right.
So I would just assume that the troll is dumb enough to not realize until after combat, maybe, or when it tries to eat someone and does not have a stomach to fill. There's also no rules for reverting back, or what happens to its body, if this is a transformation or not. The art for it looks like... Do you guys ever see Gremlins 2?
Dude, I don't
not for a
know.
long
Maybe.
time.
No, okay.
I think so. Actually, I think I did see the second one.
Well, the second one is so good, but they have like genetic manipulations of the gremlins and shit. One of them becomes an electrified gremlin. It's all just like cartoon lightning bolts flying around the screen and shit.
Right.
That's what the art looks like in the book, of just this like blue electric troll looking thing, and it's really underwhelming. These guys should be kind of straddling the ethereal plane. They're kind of ghost-like, kind of dream-like. Mm-hmm. I would definitely play them creepier than the art makes them out to be. And a little bit sad as well, because they're no longer in their corporeal body. Almost like Doctor Strange when he... I don't know what the move is called. He hits you in the chest and you fly out the back of your body.
Sure.
Astral projection.
Astral projection is when you do it on purpose, I think, when you project...
Well, I think it is... astral projection you can do on purpose. Okay, we don't know whether you can. Like, is typically, it's assumed that it's deliberate, but I think you are still astrally projecting if somebody else projects you out of your own body.
Right, but I'm wondering what happens to the troll's body. Does the body just disappear and discombobulate and become, like, incorporeal? Because there's no rules about that. It's not like you leave a body behind. You were not technically a spirit, even though it's called a spirit troll. You just become psychic energy, which is not at all what ghosts are. So
right.
It's not really clear what's going on. Just, by the way, you are psychic flavor troll now. Don't think too hard about it. Keep moving forward.
Yeah, it's like the intern wrote this one.
Yeah.
And then fuck, you fucked up like 5 editions of lore here.
Yeah, well, I really like the flavor of this, and I would do this when they kill a troll.
Sure.
And if they kill the troll and they use psychic damage to get it done, because a lot of things are using psychic damage now, I would have it jump back with... If it took psychic damage at all during combat, it's going to jump back as a spirit troll, fuck them up, and run away. Because it's not really sure what's going on.
Yeah.
It might freak out.
Yeah.
Right?
And
Yeah.
trolls are not known for being hyper-intelligent.
Yeah. So what I think is interesting is maybe the regular troll is still there, and then there's also this psychic troll, right? Like you hit it so hard with psychic damage that it blew off some of its skin or an arm and vaporized it, and then that became the spirit troll. And then there's still the other troll there that pops back up.
Right.
Maybe it has 3 levels of exhaustion. It's moving at half its speed because it's confused, and it has disadvantage on fucking everything.
Yeah.
And it's no longer fighting an initiative. It's just kind of confused.
Yeah.
Right? Because you knocked its soul out of it, right? So...
But I mean, do they really have souls? Because there was also talking about you can knock off the head, and then the head still can talk to the body, essentially.
Yeah.
Right?
Everything in D&D has a soul, even plants. That's part of the shtick to it. And we learned that in 5th edition with Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus, where they were converting people into soul coins to power their infernal machines, and then like destroying the souls on the way, right? So,
Okay.
And they will do that to anything that has kind of a will or a whim. So a corpse flower or an assassin vine does. The jury's still out on daffodils, right? So if it is animate, if it has a want and need and desire, then in theory it has a soul. But what are we doing with animated armor and shit then? What about constructs? A golem versus a warforged. We're starting to split hairs now. But I would say yes, trolls definitely have a soul. And it probably lives in whatever the biggest part of their body is. It still remains at the end if you're going to hack it to pieces and have it survive.
Yeah, all right.
But these guys, these spirit trolls, are large giants in the chaotic evil, which tracks, I think, almost every troll is. They have an AC of 17, which is 2 higher than a regular troll, which didn't seem... I was like, why such a CR difference? Like, how did it over double?
Is this something to do with the incorporeal aspect?
Yeah, I'll get to it. It gets a little fucky.
Right.
But the AC is only 2 higher. The hit points is only an average of 13 higher than a regular troll, which is nothing for a jump that's big. Their speed is the same at 30 feet. Their strength is a 1, which is a -5 modifier.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That tracks with shit like shadows and specters and
Yeah.
stuff. Right. And that's kind of the incorporeal bit. Their dex goes way up to a 17, which is a +3. Their con drops down to still a +1 modifier, but regular trolls have a 20, so it's a +5. So it drops significantly. Intelligence goes up a little bit, which is odd. Wisdom stays the same, and charisma shoots through the roof.
What?
Yeah. And I'm like, is it because you're not dripping anymore? In my head, they're always wet, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it's because it needed to have... Charisma is force of will. It's personality. It's being able to socialize and being aware of social situations and whatnot. I think when you are a being of psychic energy, you're going to have an edge on that. That's the mentality behind it. Mm-hmm. I'm not all about it, but I guess that's the design reason.
Yeah, I kind of get it, but it's charisma is a difficult thing for newer players to grasp anyway. Even experienced players, when you start fucking with it like this, you know, we think we've got a handle on what it is, and yeah.
I do kind of imagine it too as like a strength of self.
It is.
Right?
That's what I say. It's like the willpower. Whereas the will save in 3.5 was directly connected to wisdom. That's not what it is anymore.
Maybe
right?
it's because they lose all sense of any sense of insecurity or vulnerability or something like that.
But they're not even aware that they've changed half the time. So
Right.
it's an odd shift, right?
Yeah.
So their perception, they get a bonus. It's +3, but a regular troll's +2, so it's only a minor bump. So at this point, I'm like, okay, so you get a lot of charisma and some dex. Why are you so special?
Right.
Let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because
He was prepped for this.
Yeah.
damage resistance to acid, cold, fire, lightning, and thunder.
Yeah.
Well, remember, acid and fire are the things that your guys are going to come swinging with when they fight trolls.
Yeah.
And these guys are resistant to it. They're also immune to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks. Straight
Perfect.
up immune.
Oh, all right.
And they also are immune to exhaustion, being grappled, being paralyzed, being petrified, being knocked prone, being restrained, or being unconscious.
So how do we kill it?
So how do we kill it? Well, we have radiant, necrotic, psychic, and force. And magical weapons. Right, so your
All of the
+1
things
sword is...
so when the players spend, and Adam, you know this from a couple of weeks ago, when the players spend 2 hours coming up with their plan beforehand, and you're sat there as the DM knowing that this is no way going to work, it doesn't matter how they connect the dots. This is this situation when they're trying to pump psychic damage into everything.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. So, they got dark vision up to 60 feet, which is standard, because fuck everything in this game does, except for humans and Dragonborn. So, they have dark vision. Yeah, I said that. They also have passive perception of 13, which is 1 higher than a regular troll. So, still, statistically, not really breaking any barriers here. The problem is you're not going to knock it down, right? It's going to live forever. And it speaks giant like other trolls. Here's the thing it has. Incorporeal movement. This is the thing that ghosts and shadows and stuff have. It lets the spirit troll pass through objects and creatures as if they're difficult terrain. But it takes 1d10 or 5 on average force damage if it ends its turn inside of an object. What's really interesting about this wording is it can move through objects and creatures. If it stops inside of only objects, it takes that damage. Which means it could, in theory, take up the same space as a creature at the end of its turn.
Okay.
Just a little bit odd. One of the things that I do is anytime that a creature that is incorporeal moves through the space at all, I always have it do 1d10 damage to both parties. Which is why, I don't know if you'll remember this, Terry, because it's been a while since you fought a ghost with me, but...
I was thinking of exactly what you're going to say.
Oh, yeah.
When you attack the stats?
Well, no. I like to have ghosts walk back and forth through a person. I have 30 feet of movement. I'm going to walk into your space 3 times on this turn. which is 3d10
motherfucker.
damage, and I haven't attacked yet.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, 3d10 to the ghost as well, but I think some ghosts are suicidal.
probably one of my favorite battles that you DM'd was actually that ghost battle.
That was just... Oh, yeah.
It was the most stress ever. All of the stress.
Well, there's... Sidebar. When you're fighting some undead, they do stat damage, but all of the players have like a 13 in strength, which is what gets like sucked out, right? So I decided that I was going to roll d6s and have more ghosts on the field, and the d6 correlates to which stat drops as it passes through you.
Oh.
So everything is dropping consistently all of the time, and everybody was just running around freaking out.
It was...
Yeah,
It was really good. It was amazing. It was one of my more memorable battles, but it was so fucking stressful. Like,
And like ghosts, they're a low CR compared to a CR or a level 12 party.
yeah.
But you throw 7 of them onto the table and have them just pass through doing ability score damage repeatedly. Fucking the look on Dan's face was that's not rules as written. That's not rules as written.
And he's memorized all of them.
Yes.
Ghosts are deadly, and they have some crazy different abilities. Like I remember one game I was playing, a player got possessed by a ghost, and they aged 40 years. And like if you're playing in Aarakocra, you're dead.
Yeah.
Like just
Yeah, kobolds just like turned to little mummified fucking lizards on the ground. Like it can be really, really deadly depending. And also dwarves are just like, I don't care.
yeah.
Thank you. I've hit puberty now. My beard is thicker and more luscious. Back to spirit trolls. They also regenerate 10 hit points at the beginning of the turn, but fire and acid don't do anything anymore. It's force and psychic damage that need to be used against them. That's what stops them from regenerating.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
They still get a multi-attack, which is 1 bite and 2 claws, but it's a little bit nastier. A bite is +7 to hit. Of course, 5-foot reach, 1 creature, that's standard for bite. 3d10 plus 3 psychic. And it forces a DC 15 wisdom save against being stunned for a minute. So if I hit you and you fail that save, you are stunned for a minute. Now you can repeat that saving throw at the end of every one of your turns.
Wisdom save?
Wisdom
Stunned?
save.
Yeah.
This is the most monk shit that I have seen on a monster stat block.
Monk trolls.
Monk trolls, yes. Which is like, are these guys made of ki? That energy? Is that what this is? Because I'm into it then. I don't know why their charisma went through the roof, but anyway. The claws are still +7 to hit, 5-foot reach, 1 creature, and 2d10 plus 3 psychic damage. So you're taking a lot of psychic, and this is why I say fuck you barbarians.
Barbarian slayers, these things are.
Yeah. So there is a subclass of barbarian now, which is going to shrug this off. However, every other barbarian, your bear totem is not going to have a good time. Now, there is some kerfucky shit with Mordenkainen's Mordenkainen Presents the Monsters of the Multiverse. Mm-hmm. I am not a big fan of a lot of the things that got reprinted. They changed things almost for the sake of changing it a lot of the time. And the Spirit Troll got changed as well. It didn't totally piss me off, though, because I think it kind of aligns a little bit better. Let me explain. First of all, the alignment shifts from chaotic evil to typically chaotic evil, which is fine. I don't care. Thanks for covering your asses from fictional lawyers, I guess, wizards. Fuck. Hit points, though, goes from 15d10 plus 15 to 20d10 plus 20.
Well, that's a lot.
So you go from 97 on average to 130, which means you're going to stick around a fuck of a lot longer. Mm-hmm. But they removed the resistance to lightning and thunder. So they're now just resistant to acid, cold, and fire. Remember, acid and fire are what people are bringing anyway. So, sure. I guess lightning and thunder because they're energy. But I mean, fire is too. So,
right.
I mean,
what are we
thunder
doing
is
here?
sound. I can't imagine sound hurting a ghost, really.
Yeah.
That seems strange.
That
but
does seem... well...
The sound
blast,
wave.
right? It's the,
yeah.
But the claw attacks got a bit of a boost. That was the only other change. Instead of it being 2d10 plus 3 psychic, now it's 3d10 plus 3 psychic. So they're going to last longer in a fight. Now they're vulnerable to lightning and damage. Or they're not vulnerable, but they're not resistant to it. And they're going to do more damage, which makes them a little bit deadlier.
I'm okay with deadlier as long as there's more options for players.
Here's my thing. Even with the multi-attack of the 3 hits, and one of them being as brutal as it is, you're still up against a party of what, 4, 5, 6 players?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The action economy is against you.
Yeah.
So if you only have, 97 hit points, at level 11, your guys are going to fuck you up. You're going to get 1 or 2 rounds. This lets them see a 3rd round and do more damage, right? So it makes it more of a impactful battle. I don't think a Spirit Troll is ever your set piece encounter at the end of a long dungeon and now it's a Spirit Troll. You could, but I don't see that. Like, this really feels like it's mid-dungeon kind of enemy.
This is something I'm going to set up because I know there's that one player that keeps blasting that psychic damage or something. I'm like, okay, well, here's 2 or 3 trolls. I know you're going to do this. Hopefully you learn not to do it twice in an encounter. So you'll have 2 regular trolls or whatever variant of troll plus a spirit troll.
Yeah, right. And so, like, I like that this is going to be able to stay in combat and be relevant for longer. But it's not doing anything real crazy besides maybe a stun.
Yeah.
And who are you attacking with this stun? Like, barbarian, right? This is a barbarian killer. That you're going after the low wisdom save, and a lot of things have a wisdom save. You're not taking out a cleric or a monk or even the wizard has a wisdom save, right? So like, you're barbarian fighter rogue.
How do you do it without the metagame aspect though? With the spirit troll? I was just about to ask actually, would the spirit troll know to attack the barbarian? But in all likelihood, if it's just been turned into a spirit troll and it's kind of freaking out, it's probably just going to attack whatever's closest to it. It's most likely going to be the martial classes.
Well, I was reading about them, and their tactics are they're going to go for the ones that they're scared of, right? So if, let's say it's a regular troll and someone's tossing around fire and acid, they're going to target that one.
Right.
So if someone's throwing out, Force and
Psychic. But remember, it might not know it's a spirit troll.
Yeah.
So it got hit by psychic damage, got confused, regenerated, came back more than twice as tough.
It's going to know it's hurt.
Right, but it just bounced back twice as tough.
Yeah.
So it got hurt, like, ow, but then it also hulked out, right? And it's going to totally fuck up the next thing that comes by. And now it's not scared of fire. It's probably still scared of fire and acid.
I would play it as it is still scared of fire and acid.
Right? And that might actually keep you alive for an extra round or two as everyone's still throwing fire at you.
Right.
Until the troll's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I can handle this now. Right? And then turn around and come fighting back. But like, it's an interesting kind of second round of combat. Me, right.
All right, guys. So let's ask some questions about the Spirit Troll.
12.
4.
Oh, I got a 2. So, Derry, environmental and social encounters, opportunities for the Spirit Troll.
It's tough for the spirit troll.
Yeah.
It's tough for the spirit troll. The only thing I can think is if there was something that you wanted from that troll and you fucked it up trying to weaken it or whatever so you could take it, and so it freaked out and ran away as a spirit troll, and now you're in like a chase, or it's become this social skill challenge of trying to get what you want out of this spirit troll, but it's having an existential crisis because it got turned into a spirit troll 12 seconds ago in D&D time. So it's tough, but it's probably going to be a matter of like crisis control is how I see it. Crisis management.
Okay. All right. That's an interesting idea, and maybe an idea for
You
why
can
they
make a
give it a
skill challenge
charisma
out of it.
boost.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I'm going to lean into that. Now you can stop combat. Right? You could be able to roll to stop combat to say, whoa, what happened? And then sit down and try to convince it that Vaprak did this to him on purpose. He is a chosen one of Vaprak. Time to change your ways, bud.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
I think that you could probably communicate with the spirit troll more than most of the others. But what does it want when it has no body and doesn't feel hunger?
To return to its body.
That's all it's ever known, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so think about a spirit troll that's just been out there wandering the land for the last 3 years, not knowing its purpose at all. What does it do? I kill things because I always did, but how long is that going to last, right? Before he's just not going to do it anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he can't even poop.
And
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I agree with the motivations of a troll with you. I mean, I don't think its end-all be-all existence is to poop again.
Well, I mean,
that's the
Although Lord knows when I turned 30, I didn't know, like, I learned to appreciate how good, like, being regular and a good shit is. So, you know what, maybe I'm wrong.
what the fuck? That was sideways real fast.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
no, I knew exactly where that came from.
Yeah.
When you turn 30, you'll understand, Terry.
I appreciate the fact that these 30s are going too fast, by the way. So I feel like I just did turn 30.
Okay. Anyways,
So,
sorry.
so an environmental. I don't think there's an environmental thing for them necessarily
Because
right?
they don't have an environment built for them.
Yeah, like they can impact the environment, but to what fucking end? Maybe that actually makes them more religious.
Yeah, because you don't really have a whole lot else going on.
Yep.
So
Maybe if they're typically chaotic evil, but they don't have that insatiable hunger anymore, maybe they're no longer typically chaotic evil. Kyle, maybe they change their ways.
yeah, that's a good point.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
I doubt it. But
So, okay, I think you can make an environmental thing out of it because it talks about like a huge force of psychic energy. So what I imagine is there's some sort of war involving trolls, and then they were attacking a central position, and then some crazy mage or lich or whatever just released this huge amount of psychic energy and just obliterated this attacking troll troop. And now they're all kind of wandering this area, trying to figure out what their next move is, right?
Would you say they're on patrol?
Yeah.
Nice. Do you think they're all out for a stroll?
Yeah, that kind of thing, where there's a whole bunch of them gathered in a central location, and it does provide some social opportunities of, you know, how are you going to get through all these guys? Mm-hmm. Battle tactics. How are you going to play these guys?
is that me? Oh, yeah. I'll try not to repeat myself too much this episode, but based on what Adam gave me there,
Pick them up and drop them.
it's going to be pick them up and drop them, and then add the additional information that I always added every time.
But they have no strength. They can't pick at anything.
No, it's
No,
not it. That's not it.
That's a long-standing ongoing joke.
It's unfortunately it's a long-standing ongoing joke. No, you got to get close with a lot of the variants of trolls, and I think particularly this variant of troll. So they get their multi-attack, and then they get additional damage with the psychic damage, right?
Well, it's only psychic damage. They don't get slashing or anything else.
Right.
They do psychic damage, and then the bite forces that save to be stunned.
Right. Okay. So you've got to get up close, and I think you've got to take out. It's going to be whoever's the biggest threat. But it is most likely going to be the martial classes that will be close to you when you die. And so your biggest chance is just to get... you want to get up close with personal with something squishy, but I don't want to metagame it too much. So it's likely going to be a martial class.
But I don't think you have to metagame it, because remember, the troll doesn't know that it is a spirit troll yet. So when it goes down, let's say the sorcerer in the back does some crazy psychic shit, knocks the troll down, bang, you have a spirit troll now. Mm-hmm. The thing that they're going to go after is the spellcaster that also dropped fireball on them
right.
2 rounds ago. But now they don't have to worry about going around the barbarian and the paladin. They can go through the barbarian and the paladin.
Right.
Right. So they may not necessarily know, but their rage knows no bounds in that moment. So
okay, so let me look at it this way. It's like, how do you win? It's not necessarily killing everything. A spirit troll is freaking out, right? So it may just be you don't know how much damage has been caused prior to that troll becoming a spirit troll. You may already have one teammate that's been taken out of the battle. But either way, if you can move around them, and if you can essentially cause that death spiral by just stunning multiple people, that's your best chance for success, I think. You're most likely going to have... It's not just going to be you and the enemy action economy. There may be another troll that's going to be minions. There's going to be something else that's going to help you. But I think if you know that you have that stun attack, you need to try and stun as many people as possible to reduce that action economy.
Conversely, just to play devil's advocate again, are trolls smart enough to have tactics like that? Or are they going to hit that guy, wait a minute, he's not moving, now I can hit him more easily because advantage. bang, 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 and down they go. Because if you are biting every round, even if they made their save at the end of their turn,
Yeah.
so they don't get to do anything else, you can then bite again the next turn.
And that is better, but I have Ice Troll coming up where I have battle tactics that I didn't want to be too similar.
Oh,
And so
well,
I said spread it out, but I'm going to expand upon that when it gets to my turn later. But you are correct. You're not wrong. It makes
Okay,
sense to stay on the same guy.
I want to say in talking about if they came back and they don't know that they're a spirit troll, right? They still assume it's their own body. So what I would be thinking of is it goes up to the first guy, grabs him, bites him, and then nothing happens. There's no taste of blood in their mouth. What's going on? Why can't I hit this person? Okay, I'm going to go to the next person because clearly there's something wrong here. Maybe they're protected. I'm just trying to kill.
Maybe,
like,
but
blood rage.
you got to think. You got to think the time in the game, right? Like it's only a few seconds, only 6 seconds per round. They might stay there for 12 or 18 seconds before they realize it's not working. Like it makes sense that they will stay and they'll keep attacking the same thing.
The other thing that you can do as well, look, I think we're all kind of, it depends on the circumstances. It depends on the party, who attacked, who with what kind of weapons, how many, what kind of damage was done early. Are they afraid of fire? Was someone spitting acid at them in early rounds
Right.
and gave up because it wasn't doing enough damage? But they're like, oh, fuck that guy, right? Like, really pay attention to what happens in the first, like, I have a troll, and then the psychic damage hits. Now I have a spirit troll, right? So it's really the same character's going to react to all of the circumstances that led up until this point. But the important thing to remember is that if you want to have these moments, if you want to tell the story with how the troll is acting round after round after round, you do not put them against this level 11 party. They will fuck him up and he's dead in 2 rounds, right? Even with this Monsters of the Multiverse boost, 2-3 rounds max. That's what you get. They will have laughed when a troll showed up in the first place. They're like, oh, a real threat, and then they'll just fuck you up even further. So I'm gonna throw this at a level 7, level 6 party. Have them wipe out the troll, and the spirit troll will be confused and chaotic, and then flee. And not necessarily because it took damage and it's retreating, but because it's confused and it hates this and what's going on. Why am I cold?
Yeah.
It's time to leave, right?
Okay.
So that's kind of my battle tactic on this as well, is this is going to be an enemy that gets the fuck away.
Yeah, you got to remember that, right? It's not that every enemy automatically wants to kill you. The stakes and the reasons and everything can change. And in this situation, you're right. It's most likely they're going to be like, what the fuck is this? I'm getting out of here. I don't want to fight these people anymore. So that does make sense for me.
I would disagree simply because I don't believe that
How dare
trolls
you.
have that sense of self-preservation.
Well,
Or at least they don't in my mind's eye.
Everything
right?
does, though.
Everybody.
The dog does. They have an intelligence of 2.
traditionally
Yeah, I don't know.
speaking, there are really 3 kinds of creature types that don't have it. One is constructs, because a flying rug doesn't fucking understand the concept of death, right? One is undead because, well, and the last one is anything that was typically considered an outsider previous editions. So your celestials, your fiends, because when they die, they respawn on another plane and make their way back, right? So they're only really scared of death on their home plane where death is permanent for them. That's part of why they want to get to the material plane, because they can be a little bit more wild with their tactics and whatnot. So when you get a monstrosity, an aberration, a beast, even a plant, it does want to, it may want power, it may want riches, it may want fame, but ultimately, in the end, it wants to live to reap the benefits of it tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, so that's a good point. But the invincibility of youth, right? When you're young, you don't really recognize how much danger you can put yourself in or have put yourself in until you're looking through it, at it through the lens of wisdom,
I also
right?
don't know how the fuck I'm still alive, if that's what you
Yeah,
get to.
so a troll
Keep ducking my
has
assassins, that's the problem.
regeneration, right? Like it's as long as I don't take fire or acid damage, I'm fucking coming back. Like I will be here and I will kill you next time. And it believes that it's God, if it's religious, that the God will eat their soul, spit them out for them to be brought back another way. So if there is no real concept of death, would you still have self-preservation?
Well, I think that they're going to be smart enough to know when they're in over their head.
Yeah.
But that's about it. And that level is different for different creatures. The way that I tend to run Retreat is I look at the percentage of hit points. When 1 or 2 members take that percentage, everybody should turn and flee. Depends on how big the group is, but as a general rule, town guards will last until they're at 2/3 hit points, and they'll be like, okay, that's it, I'm calling reinforcements.
Yeah.
Kobolds will scatter at the first kobold death. Gnolls will see it out to the very fucking end, right? Like, depending on the different kind of monster, you have to think half hit points, third hit points, quarter hit points. At what point do they say, not worth my fucking time, right? Like, this is no good. And I think that a troll that just got knocked out of its body is going to be like, whoa, this is new information. What the shit? The moment he realizes. So I think you are going to get a couple of rounds of dicking about and still trying to taste blood and feel the warm spray of blood in your claws and shit. And then when that's not there, what just happened? I need to regroup.
It's like when you watch like boxing or something like that, and you see one of them, they get really fucking rocked, but not knocked out. They're like Bambi legs. And there is that 12, 18 seconds of where they're like, I know I have to get swinging back here, and I've got to go back. But then they get back to themselves, can collect their thoughts a little bit. Obviously, a boxer doesn't go anywhere; you're stuck in the ring. But that's the point where a spirit troll could decide, okay, am I in this or am I out of this right now? But you're going to get that 12 seconds of I just naturally have to retaliate.
I also think that a spirit troll is unique in the ability or in its intention to retreat. Most other trolls will see it out because they will regenerate to the very end. But a spirit troll just got knocked the fuck out of its body.
Yeah.
Right? So that is a brand new sense for it. So I think you're right, Kyle, for every other kind of troll except the spirit troll.
All right.
Hey everyone, we're going to keep this brief because I know you're not clicking on these episodes to listen to ads. So we're getting back into mailbag time, and that means that we want your questions, so send them all in. You know you can reach us through info@itsamimic.com. You can send us mailbag questions through the website at www.itsamimic.com. There's the subreddit r/itsamimic, and of course there's the DMs on Facebook and Instagram. And in the wake of all of this 1D&D announcements, I'm curious to see what you guys are thinking about. Let's get back to the show.
All right, guys. Next up is Terry with the Ice Troll.
Yeah, I have the Ice Troll, and we're gonna look at a couple of different versions of this. If some things have changed, we saw
Like
an
the
ice
snow troll, the blizzard troll.
Right. No, Adam, because this is what you do to me. You know it's very stressful for me when I have to read my information and still make it sound interesting.
I'm sorry, I'm trolling you. Okay.
I've been doing it for 3 or 4 years now, however long it's been, and it's still difficult for me to do this.
You're doing fantastic.
Thanks, Adam, because there's been changes from the Ice Troll that was in Rise of Tiamat compared to the Ice Troll reprint that was in Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden. Okay, so Ice Trolls. Ice Trolls will stand about 8 feet tall, and they will weigh about 400 pounds. They're said to have like sickly, translucent white skin, and some people say, Kyle, that if you get close enough, you can even see the pale blood coursing through their veins underneath their skin.
Oh.
Yes, they will still demonstrate the same insatiable hunger and cruel disposition as their more temperate climate cousins. But let's take a look at the Ice Troll. This is the Ice Troll from the Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden variant. And then once we've been through this, I will compare it to the Rise of Tiamat Troll, and we can see what's changed there. Large, giant, still it says chaotic evil, not typically chaotic evil.
No, typically is later. So both of these came up before typically.
Okay, good. Before typically existed.
Yeah.
We're looking at armor class of 16. Average hit points of 115, that's 10d10 plus 60. Standard walking speed of 30 feet. Okay, their strongest stat is Constitution. That's coming in at 22, so that's a plus 6 modifier. After that, we see Strength, and then we see a big drop-off for all of Dexterity, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. They are all below 10. So it's your strength and your intelligence and your constitution, that you're relying on. Everything else is under 10. They have damage immunities of cold. They get their dark vision for 60 feet. Their passive perception is 12 feet. They can speak giant. They're coming in as a challenge rating of 8. And their proficiency bonus is +3. They have an aura, Adam. You'll be pleased to hear. There's a cold aura. This aura exists while the ice troll is alive. It will. It gives off an aura, a bit of cold. It fills an area within 12 feet of it. And at the start of the troll's turn, all non-magical flames within that aura are extinguished. So your human fighter, Kyle, who's up close and personal with this ice troll, because that's what human fighters do. A torch is now extinguished. Do not forget that. And any creature.
Do I look like a person that plays a human fighter?
You physically look like a human fighter.
You do. You look like a human fighter.
Thank you. I think.
There's nothing wrong
No,
with
there's
being a
nothing
human
wrong with
fighter.
it. You don't want to look like a druid.
Yeah, all right.
No way, man. You look good.
Thanks. I
Kinda
appreciate
look
it.
like a bard or
I just
something.
didn't know how to.
I feel like warlocks have pimples. I mean, high charisma, but like,
I mean,
Like a celestial
but
warlock.
I mean, Tasha's a warlock, right? Isn't she?
but she's a hag technically. Yeah, that just fucking wrecked your world. I watched the glass shatter there.
Why did you do that to me? I mean, I've done it before, Adam. You know.
You have shagged a hag more than once in a
I'm
campaign.
not afraid. Okay, any creature that starts its turn within 10 feet of the troll, within the aura, automatically takes 3d6 cold damage. Automatically. They still have keen smell, as is common with the trolls. They still have the regeneration of the regaining 10 hit points at the start of its turn. They also get a multi-attack. It's 3 attacks. It's 1 with the bite. It's 2 with the claws. But listen to this. Okay, so +7 to hit for that bite attack. We're looking at 1d6 +4 piercing damage. And in addition to that, 2d8 cold damage. For the claw attacks that are coming up right after +7 to hit, we're looking at 2d6 +4 slashing damage. And then we also get 2d8 cold damage for both claw attacks. Okay, so we're looking at challenge rating of 8. What's the average hit points when you're going to be around that? What's that, level 8 for 4 players, right? So
Yeah.
55 to 65 hit points. Is that right?
Depends how well your barbarian's
using
rolling
D8s?
it, but it could be like it could be way up. But yeah, D8s will be. Well, no, your average is going to be 45, 48,
Okay.
depending on how strong your con modifier is. And that's assuming that you're rolling average stats.
Okay. So if I just take the averages here, so for the bite 9, for the cold damage 7, so 16 plus 20, so we're looking at 36 for the round of damage.
Does that include the aura?
That does not include the aura. So if you start your turn in there, that's an additional 3d6. We'll call that 10. Let's just say an average of 46 in a single round for a single player character if you're up close and personal with this troll for an entire turn.
That's nuts.
Assuming that it hits over and over again. So honestly, I'm going to be more scared for my spellcasters than I am for my barbarian or the paladin with the high AC. Right.
Yeah. Well, what's their hit points again?
It's an average of 115. It's 10d10 plus 60.
So that's good. That's pretty hefty, and they generally travel in packs too. I mean,
And you're most likely going to be fighting this thing on it, and it's a home game for the ice troll. I doubt that it's wandering around. It's probably going to be close to or within its lair. I imagine it's most likely that you had to go to it for something.
And frankly, you're going to be fucky with this too. If you're in Arctic conditions, somebody has levels of exhaustion.
yeah.
Right. So this is not a good place to start.
And come on, you're the DM. This battle is going to be, if it's outside, it's in the snow. It's probably going to be deep snow. It may be windy. It may be a blizzard. There's going to be something to do the environment that's going to make this battle. It's going to be harder.
All right.
But let me compare it to the Rise of Tiamat Ice Troll. Rise of Tiamat Ice Troll has an armor class of 15. To remind you, the Icewind Dale one has an armor class of 16. Hit points for the Rise of Tiamat Ice Troll are lower. We're 8d10 plus 40. That's an average of 84 compared to the average of 115 we just discussed. The dexterity is much lower for the Rise of Tiamat Ice Troll. It's 13, which is only a +1 modifier. And is much higher at 13 with a +1 modifier. The Constitution is 20 with a +5 modifier compared to a lower dexterity of 9 with a -1 modifier for the Icewind Dale version. And the Constitution is 22. So the Icewind Dale version is much lower dex, or notably lower dex, and in higher Constitution. Rise of Tiamat Ice Troll has resistance to cold damage. Icewind Dale Ice Troll has immunity to cold damage. The cold aura is only with the Icewind Dale version that I just discussed. And then there is some slight differences with the damage. The claw attacks in the Rise of Tiamat version do not have the cold damage, the 2d8 cold damage that I discussed in the Icewind Dale version. But that's it. That's an Ice Troll.
All right.
Both versions there.
So just for context, Rise of Tiamat was the third actual adventure to ever be published for 5th edition.
Right.
Not including the weird playtesting and the D&D Next shit, which only some of you know what I'm talking about. But there was Lost Mines of Phandelver, I think, Horde of the Dragon Queen, and then Rise of Tiamat, which means they were still trying to hammer out what balance was beyond tier 1, which is why we're going to get this big, crazy, scary bump, right? And I don't know. I like the Icewind Dale better.
Yeah,
I do like it better. Yeah, it's more interesting, and you got to forgive them that in the Rise of Tiamat version it maybe wasn't quite where we needed it to be, but like you say, it was the third book or something, so it's not like there was that much going on at that point anyway.
Tyranny of Dragons is one of those things that I desperately want to sit down and rebuild from the ground up.
Yeah, me too.
Because there are so many great ideas that fell flat just based on primitive game design.
I would love to rebuild that, and I should do that. Even if it never gets played, I should just do that just to... fixed it.
Well, do it, and we'll sell it off the website, Terry.
Sure.
Yeah, there you go. All right, guys, so let's get into some questions about this.
I grabbed the white die because it's an ice.
4.
Oh,
I won with a
4-3-2.
4.
I'm... Oh, that's sad.
All right, Terry. So tell us about some social or environmental encounter opportunities for the
Okay, I need to touch on something that I completely forgot to touch on because I don't have the book in front of me, and now I'm panicking. But the Ice Troll, a characteristic of it is that if you can acquire an Ice Troll heart, as long as you have it after 24 hours, I think it dies. If you bury it, it will cause a blizzard for 24 hours, I think.
Cool.
Where it is. So, for me, for an environmental encounter, it would be that you are not the first people to come across this Ice Troll. Maybe there's another adventure. I'm all about discovering other adventuring parties in D&D because there's other people out there doing it. For whatever reason, they've failed. Maybe they've succeeded and they've buried it or whatever. But it almost becomes like a crime scene investigation. That's how I kind of want to do it, where it's going to be like maybe a skill check to find what you need. Maybe there's another battle or whatever. But whatever the situation is, all comes from the fact that this Ice Troll heart has been buried and it's caused a blizzard, which is obscuring what you're trying to do in that area. Maybe it's a rescue mission.
Okay. All right. Interesting. So it's not even really about the Ice Troll so much?
No,
It's
it's
more
just
just
using
like
an aspect of it, which was there was an Ice Troll there, and now there's an Ice Troll heart buried underneath. But whatever you're trying to do in that area, it's creating an environmental encounter.
All right. Cool flavor. Yeah, I guess I would go with environmental. I think of them as an excellent kind of minion for the Sea Furies, because those are kind of Arctic already.
Right.
And so I just imagine them kind of filling the cavern in there. But other than that...
Well, it's interesting that you went there. You went to hag.
Mm-hmm.
There's a ver hag, which is the ice hag, the snow hag that exists. It's in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes as well.
All right.
And normally trolls and hags, they tend to go hand in hand because they're both gross. And some hags in the past, I may be wrong on this, but some of them were giant kin. Different kinds of hags were. So like they kind of work together. Having troll minions for a Verhag is really interesting because Verhags are creepy as fuck. Long spindly arms and like a rictus smile that never goes away. That's like literally frozen in place.
Into it.
Yeah. So and they're ice. Like they're all cold themed, right?
Yeah.
So Sea Fury is great, but I have the A-Qu-Atic Troll, which will like line that up
I
later.
hate that word so much.
What word? I missed it.
Aquatic.
Sorry, the A-Qu-Atic
Fills
Troll.
me with unconscionable rage.
Adam
Adam
pronounces it aquatic.
Yeah. Isn't that how you pronounce it? Aquatic.
Aquatic?
Aquatic.
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 Yeah, my social encounter would be with a Verhag. That's very much the thing that I'm 100% into with these ice trolls. The reason they were in Rise of Tiamat is because they were teamed up with a white dragon. And remember, white dragons are the dumbest of dragons, but still smarter than you, and they damn well know it. And they're better hunters, and they're the masters of their environments and shit like that. So it like had troll minions, which was weird that a white dragon would A, do that, and B, keep them around.
Yeah.
It didn't sit right with me.
It's not even like they would want to eat them. They can eat whatever they want. Why the fuck would they eat that?
Yeah. So honestly, when it comes to environment though, we talked about this in the White Dragon episode. If you have ice, you should have thin ice with water underneath and shit breaking up to the ice.
Oh, yeah.
And that ice trolls could very much immune to cold. They're going to do that. And they're going to drag your ass into it. And now you're rolling con saves because you are wet in the Arctic.
Yeah.
Right. And so, like, exhaustion is common.
That's terrifying, too. They just, like, one hand breaking out through the ice, grabbing you and ripping you down.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's roll initiative right off the bat. And that's when you get this, like, crazy surprise. Not a surprise round. Doesn't exist in 5th ed. But if the ambusher has higher initiative and goes before someone's first round, they get advantage on it, right? That's the surprise rule. So the idea of just like roll initiative is like, why? There's nothing here. And then suddenly the ice breaks from underneath them and drags the warlock into the water, right?
Yeah. All right. I like it. All right. Terry, battle tactics.
Yeah, okay. So, with this type of troll, you've got to get up close and personal with the martial classes. This, maybe someone might say this is a little bit meta, I don't know. But for an ice troll, you should be targeting the person that goes right before you. So you can take full advantage of the aura and your reactions if they try and break away from you. So if they go before you, they finish their turn, you can start your turn, get into their space, make your crazy multi-attack. They will then start their turn in your aura, because they went right before you, and they can either engage with you if they want, or they can try and break away from you, at which point it will most likely be an attack of opportunity. So you can do a fuckload of damage to a single person within one turn. The cold damage, I did not mention, I'm kicking myself now. There is a constitution check. It's DC 15, I remember. And if they fail, they get disadvantage on attack rolls. So that is why it's important to get up close and personal with these martial classes, because you can cripple them, and within a couple of rounds, you can put one down.
That's with the claw attack, right?
That's correct,
Yeah,
yes.
if you hit with it, okay.
Yeah.
I would go with, overwhelming numbers, I guess. And if I was going to play this, now I'm thinking about an ice cave, and I'm thinking about these trolls hidden behind thin sheets of ice, and one standing in the middle, not behind a sheet of ice, so it looks like it's reflections on all these ice walls.
Roll perception, only 21.
Yeah. So yeah, they come in, and then I just imagine them trying to come in from all, like a zombie tactic. That's what I picture them doing. I don't know. That's just my mind's eye.
It's also really cool to have there be like a thick sheet of ice that is see-through, and the ice troll is walking beside the party, and neither of you can hit each other. But we're kind of come to an end.
Tension.
Right. Honestly, when it comes to battle tactics, you have to have more than one, because your ice troll will be dead by the second round. Before it gets to have a second turn, it will be dead, because the very first thing that you're going to bring to a troll fight is fire. At level 8, you have fireball for days, and especially against an ice troll, your guys have already put that shit together, right? So even if they don't know the weakness, they're going to go, oh, ice, we will use fire. Right, and it will just automatically do it. And you don't really have a save against that. There's nothing you can do when you get fireballed by the wizard, the bard, and the sorcerer all in round 1, right? And then you're done. You're dead. So you have to have multiple ice trolls, just because you're already sitting there with a target on your back. However, if you're up against a paladin, a barbarian, and a rogue, yeah, maybe just one will do it. You don't need too much there.
It's another argument to stay up close and personal, though. Because those are area of effect, like the fireballs and stuff, they're less like... I mean, you can, say where you're going to do it, but it's certainly advantageous to stay up close and personal.
Well, except, again, sorcerers, because they have that meta magic that lets them pick and choose who not to hit.
Fuck those guys.
That's what I'm saying.
Fuck
naturally
those guys.
talented sons
Those
of
guys.
bitches.
But one of the best ways to get the, not advantage situation, but the advantage to get an advantage in battle as a DM is if you can make the players fight with each other. That's brilliant. So if you can get up close and personal and someone drops a fireball and fucks it up, there's always someone that gets burned. They start getting pissed at each other. You're already winning. Let them kill themselves.
Can you cast a fireball underwater? I think you can. And I think it'll blow up. It's magic fire, right?
Yeah.
So
Fireball doesn't set anything alight. Which
No, it
tells
doesn't.
me that it's not the same as a regular
it's a
fire.
burst, right? And
Yeah.
and it's magical. So
half damage.
I don't know. I'll let it hit, but also, I mean, all the steam that comes off the water. Then look to the dragon turtle because you have steam doing damage in that stat block.
Yeah.
So and it's still heat. It's still fire damage that's being done. So the
Yeah.
trolls will get hit, but so will everybody else diving into the water for the next turn.
So a concussive force under pressure is not gonna have the same effect, right?
The problem with this is when you start to get nitpicky and shit, like
Yeah.
you gotta keep in mind these rules exist as a loose facsimile of reality.
Yeah.
They are gamified. I would let a fireball go off underwater, sure. I'm going to start looking more closely at cold spells underwater because now you're making ice cubes.
Yeah.
That's where I'm looking. But frankly, if magic missile will hit and it's force damage, it will travel through the water and not get slowed down. Like at the moment you start playing with water mechanics with
That's-
spells, it gets so fucky. So like I just
hate water.
wouldn't.
It's tough
just
because
wouldn't.
it's where do you draw the line with using physics as your argument in a fantasy game?
Yeah.
Right? It's like, hey, we know the physics isn't real here, so we're going to get to a point where your argument stands up.
This is why people like me
Is that like that
and
peasant catapult? Have you seen that?
yeah. This is why me and James are terrible players. You should not have us at your table because else I will sit there and be like, actually, I know an obscure fact about relativism, and then we're just gonna bring that into the table now, and it's good. Terry, our lungs an open container.
Oh, it's,
right?
it's a
Like,
perfect example, right? And you get a new DM like I was at the time, and like, I
The
know
answer
now
is-
to go, shut up.
Yeah,
You know?
the answer is Adam, stop it. Right?
I'm like, technically, if you get a DM to slowly say the word technically, you've won.
yeah.
Okay, Terry, give us a plot hook or a side quest or a one shot.
Yeah, it's got to be. I'd say this is a side quest, right? It's got to be something around the troll. The ice troll heart is very valuable. You can do things with it. But I always like when the situation is not as clear as you thought it was when you set off. So, if you need something like you have to carve the heart out of the ice troll and bring it back. Brilliant. I'm all for that. But what about if you get there and the previous adventuring party has already killed the trolls and it's only the baby troll that's left, and but you need an ice troll heart, but it's the little baby troll, it's a child troll, or it's even if it's just like the mother troll or something. Put something in there to make a difficult moral decision for your players, where something that should have obviously died right from the start now cannot. And babies and mothers are usually a good way to go about that. As we know, no one cares about male creatures.
True. We should have called the episode Snow Patrol. That's because that's fuck.
Yeah.
Missed an opportunity there. You were next.
Yeah. Okay. I would have to go with the ice hag. I think
Sure.
these guys would just feature into it. I mean, I don't ever really see trolls being a main quest, right? They just don't have that much bite to them. But
I mean, I get it.
yeah,
They literally do have bite.
no, I wasn't.
No.
I wasn't going there, but yes,
Yeah.
yeah, good catch.
Do you think they have like minty, fresh, like dentine ice breath?
Absolutely not.
Just no.
Yeah.
My plot hook is going to be that you have to choose a side. The ice trolls come to your party, and they've had enough of the frost giants being racist against them. We're giants too, damn it.
Fucking hell.
And so now you have to choose the chaotic evil or the chaotic evil because you've got fucking frost giants, which are huge size and a real goddamn problem, or ice trolls, which have auras and are a real goddamn problem. Do you think they can suppress their aura? Like they clench their butthole? It's not like
Turn it off, you mean?
yeah, like they just like close the fucking gills or whatever they got. That's no, it's just a magical aura.
Because it's their
right?
heart, right? That's
Yeah.
pumping it out. That's why when you bury it, it turns into a blizzard.
Okay.
So,
That's going to be, all right, you stand over there, but we got a question for you. Okay, so if you have interesting ideas about ice trolls' buttholes. You can reach out to us at Instagram, Facebook, and at r/itsamimic on Reddit. That was a segue, guys. I'm very proud of it.
Yeah.
You can also reach out to us at info@itsamimic.com, where you can ask us mailbag questions or in any of the inboxes or on the post that is stickied at the top of the subreddit. If you want to help us out, you can leave positive reviews or give online shout-outs, links in social media, or bullying your friends into listening. And using the podcast at loud volumes to torture your enemies are all viable ways to help spread news of the podcast. Seriously, I'd like to see our voices used to torture enemy insurgents, so get on that, please.
Yeah. So, finally, we come to the dire trolls, which are the foul result of troll-on-troll violence. When one of these beings of limitless hunger turns on its own, gorging itself on the forbidden flesh, we get these walking nightmares.
Is this all just a metaphor for them banging?
No.
Okay.
There's no banging.
The forbidden flesh?
Yeah.
Is
No,
that-
it was like, oh, you're long pork is like a code name for human meat.
Oh yeah, you can call me long pork, Kyle. Oh, call me long pork.
That is the noise you make when you say
Yeah.
Their hunger soon becomes all-consuming as the troll craves ever more of its brethren to increase its size with those sweet, sweet troll gains, bro. These now ever-increasing mutants rip and rend the flesh of its own kind, grafting it onto itself, incorporating the stolen parts of its bodies. Eyes, arms, mouths, they all become one with the host. These, like, if you've seen the art in the books, it is incredible. It's like this four-armed troll with like a mouth in its stomach and like a couple eyes on its breast.
Like, I love the idea. That is just so disgusting. I'm going to eat 98% of you and recycle that bit.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah, it just reaches down and rips off an arm and then just sticks it on and then keeps going. So these are huge variety creatures, typically chaotic evil with an AC of 15, 172 hit points, and a 40-foot walking speed. As can be expected, they have a much better martial stats with a godly 22 in strength and 21 in con, and sporting an alright dex at 15. Their mental skills are not quite as hot, with their highest being a wisdom at 11 and a -3, so a total of 5 in their charisma. Although it shouldn't really be surprising considering that it's a troll that is just mashed extra troll into it. So for saving throws, they get a bonus to charisma and wisdom, which, what the fuck is that? Like, it's their lowest stats.
No. Okay, so the reason that you see stats get boosted in a monster stat is different than why you see it boosted in like what a player's saving throws are.
Yeah.
A player's saving throw is what their strengths are, so that they are better at things. Like the wizard has wisdom and intelligence because that's what they are good at. When it comes to a monster, though, when they would have negative modifiers, what they have to do instead in order to balance that creature out, because otherwise every single wisdom and charisma spell out there.
Oh yeah, you just be killing it.
Oh yeah, you would be hitting them left, right, and center. So these are just boosts to keep the monster relevant.
Yeah, okay, that makes
All right,
sense.
so it's overcoming the negative instead of boosting the positive.
Yeah, all right.
So that's why it took me a long time to figure that out, but that's the general idea there.
It would make sense because it's just charming one of these things would be crazy to just have around.
Yeah.
Because they're so strong. They've got a challenge rate of 13. They all, for skills, they get a +10 to perception in the monsters of the multiverse, which has changed from the +5 in Mordenkainen's. And it's to replace the keen senses feature. So rather than getting advantage on perception checks, they just get a bonus to it. Okay. They also have resistance to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing, and are immune to the frightened and poison condition. On top of that, they get 60 feet of dark vision like all the other ones, a passive perception of 20 this time, and a proficiency bonus of +5 and speak only giant. Now for skills, they, like all trolls, get the regeneration feat, which means they regain 10 hit points at the beginning of their turn, unless they have taken fire or acid damage, in which case this time they only get 5. And they can only die if they take 10 or more fire or acid damage after they have already reached 0 hit points. For their actions, the dire troll gets a multi-attack in which they get 5 attacks, 4 claws and 1 bite, or they can use their whirlwind of claws ability. Their bite has a plus 11 to hit, a 10-foot reach to a single target, and deals 1d8 plus 6 piercing damage and 1d10 poison. The claw has a plus 11 to hit, also with a 10-foot reach to a single target, but deals 3d6 plus 6 slashing damage this time. I don't understand why the bite has the 10-foot reach and the claw, to be honest.
Why they both have it?
Yeah, I feel like you can't bite as far, or you grab it and then...
Nah, it has to do with the fact that 5th Ed is very simple with its mechanics. It doesn't want DMs to spend too much time, especially at low and mid levels, worrying about things like reach and range, right? They want you to have 2 or 3 very simplistic attacks that work together intuitively because they want it to be very simple for new DMs to pick up and run it without getting confused.
Okay.
That's why they save all the really cool shit for tier 4.
Yeah. All right. That makes sense.
That makes absolute sense, yeah. They're trying to grow the brand, so it's going to be easy.
Yeah, it annoys me. I like it better when there's 10 different things that you can do. But also, you're at level 13. How many hit points do you have?
For this?
Yeah, for the...
170.
Sure, that's still 3 rounds at level 13. Like, you're not going to get all of your shit off over and over again.
Yeah.
Right, so
now the real fun with this one is the Whirlwind of Claws. It's a recharge on a 5/6 and prompts a DC 19 dexterity saving throw from anyone within a 10-foot radius. And then they take 8d10 slashing damage on a fail or half as much on a success. So considering this thing is a huge creature, it's almost the same radius as a fireball that this thing does an 8d10 damage, prompting a dex throw.
oof.
Yeah.
So, but it's the dex throw. So by level 13, monks and rogues are just immune to it. They have evasion.
Yeah, pretty much. But I think with this guy, you were going like just running into the center and then using
Whirlwind,
ability. Yeah.
absolutely. Why would you not?
Yeah, and then 5 attacks, you're attacking everything all over the place. So it's basically just Tasmanian devil, like in the middle of these guys, which I think is pretty cool. All right, so let's get into some questions. Everybody grab your dice.
I'm ready to go.
4.
Fuck off. I got a 1.
17 to me.
Oh, yeah, talk to yourself.
Yeah.
Dad.
Talk to yourself.
So Kyle. Yes, Kyle. Tell me, how would you do environmental and social encounter opportunities? So I don't think you're going to get much social out of this one. This thing is dumb as a bag of bricks. And I would be playing this thing as nuttier than a squirrel turd. Because I think of like mad cow disease where they it's from them eating cows and then it gives them a brain virus. And then, so this thing only thinks about cannibalizing its friends.
Yes, absolutely. I love the fact these guys are just batshit crazy.
Yeah.
That explains their charisma level too.
Yeah,
Jerry? Or you rolled a 1.
Oh, I rolled a 1 because of course I did.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so it's me. But I like the fact that the batshit crazy now would still have a situation where you have to get something out of them. They remember something, they know somebody, they killed somebody, and you have to try and get that information out of them. It would be... It can't be a skill check. It's got to be... Maybe, but I still want the entertainment as the DM, just watching these people struggle, of trying to extract information out of this thing. But you still have to make it attainable for the players. You can't just be like, I'm going to be deliberately annoying. If they go down a line of questioning that does make sense, or if they trigger something that does get an emotional reaction, it's almost like, how do you keep it on point?
Yeah.
How do you keep it happy where you can get this information out of them? So even though it's crazy as fuck, I would still have a social encounter where something needs to be extracted from them.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is it the dire troll's regenerative ability that allows it to attach arms, or is it the troll victim's regeneration that allows them to attach it? I asked this question because if it's the dire troll opening a wound and slamming a body part into it so it heals up, why not have that dire troll do it to other creatures as well? So it has a manticore leg and a giant scorpion tail, and like you could just totally craft a fucking monstrosity out of this thing.
Yeah.
And then my social encounter from then is it killed a wizard with a magic ring that you guys need, and that hand is still attached.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Right? And so you literally need to lop off a limb from this thing, which we have rules for. right, for trolls. We talked all about it in the previous episode. So you could be rolling dice at random to see if you can lop off the appropriate limb, grab the ring, and just run. You don't have to get into this, right?
Yeah.
So the idea, you could negotiate to get the ring off of the troll, but now it knows that you want something, so fuck you.
Yeah. Interesting. All right, battle tactics. So I guess that's me again. Yeah, pretty simple. These things are huge and dumb, and it's trying to get that sweet, gooey center of your party so it can use the whirlwind attack. So that's what I'd be trying to do. I'd be running in for the casters, anybody trying to use fire, targeting them first. I don't know, playing it like a standard troll.
Yeah, I think that's the obvious way to go. I think you still need to use your positioning where if you can kind of pin somebody in the part where they don't want to be for that whirlwind attack and they feel like they're getting stuck because it's so huge as well.
Yeah.
Anytime that you can pin somebody into a corner, that's fantastic. Even if you're working with somebody else. I like to put stress on the players. And even though it's a team game, ultimately everybody wants their character to survive and then everybody else is to survive after that.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're going for. So if you can stress multiple people at the same time by doing this type of thing, they'll start to panic because they're worried about their own character and they'll stop supporting each other.
Yeah,
is what goes away. They'll stop healing each other. They'll stop with or they'll stop buffing each other because now they're just healing themselves and so everyone else gets fucked. So if you can cause mass panic, that's the way to go.
I am like honestly, it's the whirlwind attack. That is the showboat thing. And is there a recharge on it?
Yeah, 5-6.
See, again, I always then put a minimum number of rounds. So if I'm still alive on round 4, it goes off again. I know it's 5-6. I'm going to roll it, and I know that's not rules as written. But the reason I picked a dire troll for you guys to fight was to showcase this one badass ability. And if I can only do it once, and everybody else is scared for the second round, they see me roll a d6 and go, "Ah, shit."
But you're also, there's a part of you as a player is secretly hoping for it. You go whether it's this or it's the big red or whatever, you're secretly like, man, I hope we get this. We go all this way, you know. I hope we can overcome that. You know?
Yeah, I hope we get a fun fucking battle out of it. And so I want to hit with this. But the mental stats on this troll are not high. However, it has experience defeating weaker creatures. Therefore, it stands to reason it can identify weaker creatures. And because it has won so many times that it has now become a huge creature. Because it started off as a large creature, so that is a lot of fucking body parts, right? Because it has done this, it would stand to reason that it would be able to understand what the weakest members of the party are. And then hit them. Ambush tactics, stealth be damned, is going to try for ambush tactics, and it is going to aim for the weakest, which means not just spellcasters, NPCs, mounts, and familiars.
Yeah.
And 8d10 in a whirlwind attack will drop all of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So now your players are rolling death saves on their turn for their beloved NPCs, mounts, and, well, probably not the familiars. You're like, oh, fuck. I'll just summon him on the next short rest.
But the pets, though.
The pets, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm going to use a dire troll to attack the not party members that are in this adventuring party, right? And that's going to be way fucking scarier, especially with a CR13 creature. Mm-hmm. You are hopefully scattering and protecting your guys. This is when you have the rogue and the warlock and the sorcerer standing between the dire troll and the butcher, right? Because the butcher is a beloved friend with 10 fucking hit points. You're level 13. Yes, you are a sorcerer, but you have more than 10 fucking hit points, right? It's going to hurt, but you will live to next round. Mm-hmm. That guy won't, right? And so you're going to start to see who protects whom, who protects what. And if you have somebody, if I'm the dire troll, Kyle's got a mount and a pet, and Terry has none, will Terry protect one of Kyle's?
Right.
And that is the strife I am trying to sow within the party.
That's it. That's what it comes down. It's attack the players, don't attack the characters.
Yeah, reach out and smack your players. Is the
reach
point.
out and smack your play. But even if you beat the dire troll after all of that, after Kyle's lost his dog and you've lost your butcher husband or whatever, did you win? Did it feel like you win? Because by the way, you were relying on them for the next part, for the next part of the game. You know, there's a reason you brought that butcher, right?
Okay, so a plot hook for this. So
Sure.
I didn't want to go too into detail with my previous answers because I was saving it for this one. So I think this would make kind of a great mini boss battle. I like the idea of setting a party in for like a MacGuffin, like you were saying, where there's a ring on the hand that's on the troll, or they get sent by somebody who is just looking to kill the party. Like he's like, oh, I need you to go here and do this thing, not telling them at all that he knows there's a dire troll in there and he's gonna it's gonna be waiting for him. So party goes in, and I would love to see like a big room in a cave, and there's just a whole bunch of trolls chained up along the walls on the outside, and then you see the main troll leaned over one of his prisoners, rips off its head, sticks it onto its back, and then the troll head eyes open onto the party and starts talking to him. And then as the battle continues, this dire troll is going around and just ripping more body parts off the prisoners to stick them on and just keep going.
It's always within reach of one of the chained up. And so one of the attacks will be to rip off a piece of, because all it has to do is 15 slashing.
Yeah.
To rip off limbs, right? We learned that with the optional rule in the last episode. So 15 slashing is nothing for a dire troll. So he's going to rip off a limb and stick it on, right? And there you go.
Yeah.
As part of its multi-attack. And now next turn it has another claw. And I would just keep adding claws.
Yeah.
And then what is your party going to do? Is it going to rescue the trolls that are chained up along the outside? What are those trolls going to do when they do get free? Or if they get
We
free?
ain't rescuing trolls.
Yeah. Well, I'm just you were talking about a baby troll earlier.
Yeah, well, it's
So-
different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it?
I mean, one of them could be a baby.
Yeah, we've all seen those movies, Lord of the Rings, whatever, where the huge creatures like this, they're always like the weapons, right? They're all chained up and they're like swinging through the battle or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Somebody has to go and get them. They didn't come willingly. That's why they've got chains on them. So this would be fantastic for this. We have this dire troll. He lives in this big cave, or blah, 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 blah. Oh, you want us to go kill him? Gods, no. We need you to bring him back because we need him in this battle which is coming up. So go find him, chain him up, do whatever you want, but get him back here.
I feel like it's the goblins sending you out to do that.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, we have this crazy idea.
Yeah. But they wouldn't be. But that's it. That's great though as well because they wouldn't be completely truthful. What is it? A troll?
We think it's an ogre, maybe?
Yeah.
Two
Maybe
heads.
an
It's an etin. It's an etin.
Yeah, that's it. 2 heads. Etin. Okay. No. It's a troll. So it's like half truth and all of it.
Yeah.
It's a troll. It's definitely an ogre. It's big. So it's like an ogre, etin, troll type thing. Yeah. It's definitely one of those.
I like that. I'm going to take it a step further, though, and have the regular troll walk up to the party, and the only word it knows in common is help.
Yeah.
Because dire troll is eating other trolls, right? Yeah. And this one is like, help. And then like, what do you do with that? As a party, what do you do with that? Like, do we fireball him? And like, he sits down cross-legged in front of you and really takes a breath because this is not in his wheelhouse and just, okay, help. And as the party's standing there talking amongst themselves, he's getting bored. Why are you not helping, right?
Yeah.
And he's like babbling in giant, and you just hope you got a furbolg or something in the party that can speak it, right? So I just love the idea of the only word it knows is help, and it's just going to point.
Yeah.
And then the party's going to be like, what does the troll need help with? Oh, shit.
To the point where the troll needs to ask for help.
Yeah, like can you imagine a troll pantomiming a dire troll? just like reaching across his body so both arms are hanging off the right side, flopping around, and like it would just be just really funny, but also this is going to be a bad time in about 2 hours of gameplay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I like it. Okay, so that's all for our discussion on trolls. Next time when we talk about enemies, we'll be returning to our conversation on humanoid NPC options and when you should use which option. Make sure that you subscribe or follow and check back regularly to see what inspirations and insights we'll have for you in the future. Next week, we'll be sitting down to go over our thoughts on how Dungeon Masters can breathe life into making NPCs feel alive and organic, instead of simply quest givers and potential victims.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the It's a Mimic podcast. If you'd like to support us, we have a donate button on our website, www.itsamimic.com, as well as a store for some potentially arousing merchandise. You tried to get me with that.
I did.
You tried to get me with that, but I had my podcast voice on. We also rely on word of mouth and gentle whispers to get news of the podcast out there to the community. So please creep into your friends' houses and softly breathe in their ears while they're sleeping, letting them know that we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, as well as most podcast apps. Thanks again for listening to the It's a Mimic podcast, where you never know what you're going to get.
This has been an It's a Mimic production. Inquiries, requests, and questions for our mailbags can be sent to info@itsamimic.com.
All right, so there is one last final kind of troll. I've said it a few times. It's the Aquatic Troll.
I'm going to burn your house down, Adam.
How do you say it again?
Aquatic.
Aquatic.
The aquatic.
Aquatic.
It's aquatic.
So this is not a standard stat block like we got for all the other trolls. This is one of those times where you just, in the middle of an adventure, get like, oh, hey, it's a regular troll, but it's this and this as well. But the more I looked into it, the more I really liked it, and I remembered these guys from previous editions where they did have a dedicated stat block and some lore. So I did a bit of digging here. Again, this is from Rise of Tiamat, and it's in the same white dragon lair, only they have aquatic trolls and ice trolls. So that was a little strange for me. But they say that, I'm going to quote it directly, the corner of the cavern is home to 2 scrags. Now, scrag, this is the only time that I could find reference to the word scrag, which is what aquatic trolls are called in previous editions. They're just called scrags. They're also
heroin and
no skag. Skag. It's a little different.
Yeah. They say it in Scotland a lot. Yeah.
So the way that it works is they are just like regular trolls that run-of-the-mill CR5 trolls, except they can breathe underwater and they have a swim speed of 30 feet. They are also a little cowardly in this module themselves, and for no discernible reason except the fact that I think that at this point the party's supposed to be higher than level 5. So they know they're outmatched, which is why I'm sitting here thinking trolls will be able to tell when they're outclassed in a fight, right? Just even the no-name bullshit trolls that are thrown in there can figure that out relatively easily. So scrags are also known as marine trolls, and they come in 2 variations. There's freshwater and there's saltwater trolls. The freshwater ones can also be called river trolls and hools, but they have gills, and they regenerate, but only if they are submerged in their own kind of water. So saltwater trolls in saltwater, freshwater trolls in freshwater. Saltwater scrags can breathe freshwater, but it doesn't work the other way around. Now, they all have blue to green to olive kind of skin tones. This is in theory to be able to camouflage with the water and the aquatic nature of where they're hiding. Some are smart enough to fashion armor out of coral too to help them blend in and to give them an extra boost, but they do just naturally have thick scales and enlarged lower jaws, and so they have a little bit of a tankier roll than a normal troll does. So they in theory have a higher CR, although these ones don't naturally. That wasn't a boost that Rise of Tiamat gave them. But as we've spoken about time and time and time again, when you put water in the scenario, this shit gets harder. So most freshwater scrags are smaller than your average troll, but saltwater scrags are bigger, and they're both more vicious. They've got a nasty bite, but their claws aren't quite as formidable as your regular trolls. So if you wanted to design these things up, make their bite a little bit more deadly and their claws a little bit less deadly. They're still vulnerable to fire and acid like a regular troll, but in the lore, they're Lokatha. Are you guys familiar with Lokatha?
Vaguely.
They're the fishiest fish people that ever fished.
Okay.
They are essentially sentient fish with the bodies almost of like seals, right? Okay. So they're really, really aquatic, and they don't move quickly on land. They need to be constantly wet in order to survive and stuff. So they discovered that a special kind of fast-growing coral called star coral could halt the regeneration of scrags, especially when the limbs are removed and the wounds are stuffed with star coral, which I thought was oddly specific, and then made me think about shoving embers into regular troll wounds to stop them from regenerating.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's still, I don't know, this all kind of bugs me, this saltwater versus freshwater troll, like, seems an unnecessary distinction.
Well,
I'm not using it.
in previous editions, trolls had a much bigger role. Don't want to rhyme it, but there we go. They had a bigger place in the D&D lore, almost like ogres seem to have in 5th edition, where there's ogres just littered throughout every fucking adventure for no reason. And weirdly frost giants everywhere, even in the jungle and shit, just cuz in 5th edition. We get that with trolls in previous editions. So we actually get troll societies. And we know that there are different hierarchies and whatnot within them, and they are organized. That the aquatic trolls have matriarchal societies that are usually led by a female chieftain with basic magical abilities as well. So these are trolls that can cast spells. So you can get the idea that you, like, at face value, yeah, man, we have rot, we have venom, we have spirit, we have dire, we have ice. We don't need this shit. But back then, previous editions, which means technically in the Forgotten Realms, earlier in history, like 200 years ago, there were lots of trolls, and they were everywhere, and they had societies, which means these societies have broken down since. And that's kind of the reason why they're as barbaric and as weirdly varied as they are, because there's really no rhyme or reason until you start to look at the variations in different kinds of gnolls and kobolds and goblins, and trolls were like that too once. We just don't see that anymore.
Okay.
And their societies kind of degenerated over time, which is kind of funny when you think about it, because they're fucking trolls. But the saltwater versus freshwater actually fucking mattered when you were dealing with things like the plane of water. Which we don't have in 5th edition. They mention it, but who gives a shit?
Yeah.
It's way the fuck over there, make it up yourself, right? Like, because we don't have the lore to support them or their environments, it's not a big deal. But I would absolutely lean into aquatic trolls just to make it unique and different and throw your experienced players for a bit of a loop.
Okay.
Do you guys have any thoughts about them?
Yeah, it just seems like more work. That's what it seems.
Well, it really is, to the
Yeah.
point where they said, hey, don't do the work, just let them breathe underwater.
Yeah.
And have a swim speed of 30 feet. And that's what 5th Ed gave us, because they didn't bother to put the work in.
Yeah, it's good to have them on deck, but I'm not mega excited to use them, and I think it's because I'm much more excited by the other trolls that we've discussed so far.
I would just give these ones breathing and a swim speed, and then just, I don't know.
Well, that's what they did with the regular troll, right?
Yeah.
This is going to be interesting to be able to use in a pirate campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ghosts of Salt Marsh that spirals out on a side quest. Here you go, river troll, right? Scrags, and you can use the word scrag or hool, and your guys aren't going to know what they're up against. Even if you describe it, they're not going to immediately know that this is fire or acid, right?
Yeah, all right.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the other bonus that I would have for this.
yeah, that
as
is
well.
good. Yeah.
All right, yeah, that's a good point. Okay.
Then I will do the Aquatic Troll.
Aquatic?
Yeah.
Okay, Dan. With your made-up words.
It's gonna fuck me up, man. No, because now I'm gonna say Aquatic. Fucking
Aquatic.
yeah.
You put your white guy voice in there.
I have nothing but a white guy voice. All right.
Blake.
I also didn't know what to do with that one.
No, yeah.
It's getting...
And Aquatic.
Yeah.
It feels like it was becoming more and more like a summer comedy, American Pie type movie trailer all the way through. Like, hold on to your britches.
Yeah.
Because this summer,
Rob Schneider.
exactly. Rob Schneider just discovered that he is a troll. I always feel like a sports analyst when we do the battle tactics and the headphones on, the mic on. If I'm running defense and I'm running circles back. Okay.
I gotta crash the net.
And I'm going to be that old retired football player just...
It's just completely out of touch. Maybe we can get Don Cherry in here. or
Well,
something.
the thing about the defense is you need to have a defense to be able to defend properly with the fucking ball.
He's not wrong, Adam. I nailed it.
You did. I'm very impressed.
Because I never read this before
Yeah.
I came in.
Yep, there
That's
we go.
always
actually,
the
you
same.
never read that before you came in?
No, I mean, I've read it before, but I didn't read it before this episode because it's always the same.
Okay. It's hilarious.
Thanks for listening. Bye.